Today we'll be using version 12.5.5 full self-driving in the Cybertruck for a fairly long drive on the interstate. Now, I've been doing these longer drives on the interstate for a while now in this truck with full self-driving, and it's done a great job thus far. I want to showcase some of the abilities of full self-driving on the interstate that you don't get to see very often in just general clipped videos. So what I'll do is I'll make this drive, I'll try to speed up some footage in between uninteresting sections, and then highlight the parts that are interesting throughout the drive, just so that I'm not wasting your time. And we're gonna be taking a right-hand turn up here and getting on the interstate. So this actually can be kind of an interesting clip just because we'll be merging to the left here. This intersection seems to have a bunch of people trying to come off the interstate, a bunch of people trying to come on at the same time. So we'll see how full self-driving can navigate this situation. It looks like we're actually getting lucky here. There's no one coming off of the interstate behind us. So that was that was nice and smooth. I've seen that be a slight struggle in the past, especially when you have a line of cars here getting off and a line of cars getting on. So the goal here today is for me not to touch the steering wheel during this drive. However, I will make some lane change suggestions probably throughout the drive, just because I do know some better lanes to be in that will increase our chances of success. I know the purists out there may not like doing that. They may just say, hey, let full self-driving do the entire deal without any suggestions. But I'm thinking about this from more of a practical perspective. Just using this over the past couple of weeks, I have used the lane change functionality, and I think that's a more practical way to show off what, you know, full self-driving can do for the average user. I consider myself the average user. So in this situation here, you know, it says I'm going to be merging to the right in less than a mile, and I know that the lane over to the right is the better lane to be in. So I'm going to hit the right turn signal on the steering wheel. And you can see FSD is trying to navigate over to that lane, which it did a nice job of. Now, in this situation, it kept going, which is funny because now I'm in a lane that I'd rather not be in. I'm gonna have to get over to that left lane again to make this turn appropriately. So that's kind of funny. I guess when I get just a little bit closer, I'll hit the left turn signal and see if it gets me back over. Actually, you know, I think I could stay in this lane, so I'm just gonna let it ride. We're probably fine. All right, you can see some congestion up here. FSD is gonna have to get us over to the left-hand lane. Probably two lane changes up here. Yep. It's a little hairy. Now would be a pretty good time. I almost gave it a lane change suggestion right there, but it actually did that on its own. So she needs to get over one more time. There we go. All right, that was smooth. That was good. All right, we're about to be merging up here. So FSD needs to get over to its left-hand lane. Got about 4/10 of a mile, 3/10 of a mile till we have to do that. Personally, I probably would have gotten over to the left initially, just to make sure I'm in the right spot. You know, when you're driving in a bunch of traffic like this, and if you have the advantage of kind of knowing where you're going, the optimum lane is normally pretty obvious. There you go. There's your left-hand turn signal. Nice. A little late, but you know, we made it. You know, one thing I would say is I've seen some videos of, I think it's version 12.5.6 in the Model Ys, and they have multiple modes, you know, like hurry mode or chill. It would be cool to have a, I don't know, kind of a, I guess it would be chill, but the chill mode would also take into account kind of the optimum lane changes to be in. Because, you know, if you don't care about getting there as fast as possible, there are some just smoother lanes to be in on longer routes like this, that it's just intuitively makes sense that you would rather just get into that lane initially and not have to jockey around left and right. and get back to that lane last minute. So it would be cool if there was some math there or whatever to keep the Cybertruck or full self-driving in any of the Tesla vehicles, to keep them in kind of the optimal lane. So maybe they'll work that into the chill mode, because it surely wouldn't be the fastest way, but it would be the way to get there with the least lane changes. You could do stuff like that in the software, you know, making it so that it only takes the optimum lanes, and it would actually probably increase the effectiveness of FSD, since you're not forcing it to do more challenging tasks. You're saying, hey, get in this lane and stay in this lane. And I'm sure this has been talked about and thought about by people testing FSD, but it would also be nice to be able to set maybe toggles on your waypoints. So for instance, whatever trip you put into the navigation, you say, hey, I only want to take protected right-hand turns to get there. And yeah, it may take you some weird routes, but you know, maybe that way you wouldn't take more aggressive task on for full self-driving. Like you wouldn't do any unprotected left or any strange situations like that. You would just only take protected rights. And I wonder if they can map that out in the navigation to make it do that. And it probably would be the most conservative option. It definitely gets you there slower, and it could be frustrating the path that it takes, but it would be a nice thing to be able to turn on. So this is one of those situations that I know I would rather be in the right-hand lane. So when I see some space on the right, I'm just gonna go ahead, probably now actually, and hit the right turn signal. And that just lets FSD know that, hey, I wanna get over to the right-hand side. I really love that functionality for driving on the interstate with routes that you know. Having the ability to make it change lanes is awesome. I don't know if we're going to get the chance to in this drive, because there's so much traffic, to overspeed, but every once in a while I have noticed a little bit of overspeeding, you know, say maybe 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. And it would be nice to be able to adjust that on the fly. I know it's in auto mode, but just like you can make a suggestion on what lane you want to be in with the turn signals, it would be nice to maybe hit the microphone button and just be like, hey FSD, can you lower your speed by 5 miles per hour or something like that? You're going too fast. That would be a really cool function, because otherwise you have to manually set your speed limits in the settings, which is fine for long drives, but I'm just thinking like day-to-day commutes and things of that nature. You can either manually set it in the settings, or you can disengage full self-driving, slow down, and then turn it back on. Which I'd rather not do. I'd rather just be able to say, hey, slow down 5 miles per hour. That'd be great. This is another situation. I know I need to be in the right-hand lane. It doesn't want to put me there, probably because it's a solid white line, but in this case, I guess it did decide to go over anyway. I guess that would be technically not following the rules of the road perfectly, but in this scenario, if I was doing this drive myself, I probably would have got all the way over way sooner, because you can see up here that we will be peeling off to the right, and making that switch up here would be a little bit more hairy, especially if there were other cars in the way. So it probably would have tried to merge about right now, and it would have worked fine in this scenario, but depending on who's behind you, they could be kind of tight. So I do a decent amount of travel where you'll encounter things like this, basically stop and go traffic. And in my previous vehicle, which was a Chevy Silverado, and even in this vehicle before I had FSD, that kind of driving can really put some wear and tear, I guess, on your ankles, or it just is uncomfortable, is what I mean. It can kind of wear you out a little bit, you know, constant braking and acceleration. So the full self-driving is really awesome for this type of scenario when you're in stop and go traffic and you don't want to have to constantly be manning the accelerator or the brake. It really shines here, and this is one of the main reasons why not only did I purchase the vehicle, but also was jonesing to have full self-driving. All right, looks like we have a pretty big hang up over here to the right. We have a guy with his flashers on, maybe a flat tire, and it's causing a pretty big pileup of vehicles merging into us. But, you know, no big deal yet. That Chevy that just merged over in front of us, that was actually perfect. You know, FSD gave him just enough room to get over. I'll be curious to see what he does with this cement truck, though. Okay, nice. Yeah, that was perfect. You know, FSD gave him just enough room to get on over, and he did. We're passing up the vehicle with the flashers on right now. Okay, that was smooth. Yeah, that was perfect. That was just like a perfectly executed slow roll that let some people in and got around a vehicle that was in distress. You know, I just saw a Tesla drive past us, a Model Y, and it just made me start thinking about this visualization here on our screen. It would be really cool if there was a way that you can toggle on and off that you would want to share if you're full self-driving or not. And you can see other Teslas pop up in color, maybe like red or orange or whatever, or maybe green. Yeah, green would be good. Other Teslas pop up in green on your visualization here, just let you know that, you know, oh, that guy's on FSD and that guy's on FSD. That'd be pretty cool if you could see that. Obviously, I know people have talked about linking those together so that they kind of drive in a line and whatnot, but it just would be kind of neat to see who around you is using FSD. That'd be a pretty cool experience. And who knows, you know, maybe if it gets to version 13 where it's unsupervised, you can see who's full self-driving, and then you can like click on them and play video games against them or something in your console while your cars are taking you to your destination. It'd be cool. So this is kind of interesting. This guy in front of me has a trailer, and you can't really see his brake lights. It's kind of covered by some of the wood that he's carrying. So generally, FSD, I think, recognizes brake lights of the people in front of you. Could be wrong about that, but that's kind of the indication I get, especially with the visualization. So we may see some more abrupt movements from FSD with this car in front of us, just because the brake lights really aren't visible, and I can kind of see them right now, and I can't even tell if they're on. So yeah, we're getting just a little closer to him than normal. Getting real close to him, really. I got my foot over to brake, don't worry. But yeah, FSD's having kind of a hard time with this guy in front of us. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure this lane... Oh, stop. Okay, it stopped. Yeah, it likes getting close to this guy, though. Unfortunately, this lane is like this for probably another 3 or 4 minutes, so we'll have some stop and go with this guy. Hopefully somebody cuts me off and gets in front of me. I know this 18-wheeler is trying to get over, but I would be really impressed if FSD lit him over, just because he's huge. He's gonna get mad at me. Yep, he's just gonna keep on going. A normal car probably could have got in right there, but that 18-wheeler is just not gonna make it. Not with FSD kind of riding this guy a little close. As an individual, I would have normally slowed down and let that guy in if I was driving on my own. And if I wasn't doing an FSD video, I probably would have disengaged, let him in, and then re-engaged, which is fine. I don't see an issue with that. I don't expect FSD to be able to recognize something like that yet. Maybe one day. Yeah, so this is I can tell up front that this is going to be a hairy spot. You know, we have people merging onto the interstate from the left. We have people trying to get off the interstate coming from the left to the right. And then this lane right here is kind of one that gets you off the interstate. So there's going to be some crisscrossing here.
What did he just say?
You can see, okay, this guy with the trailer finally moved over. Ooh, I don't like that. I'm actually going to turn that turn signal off because I do not want to get over to the right. This is the lane I want to stay in. There we go. Yeah, FSD tried to get me over to the right for a second there, and that's a bad move up here. This is an exit only lane, there's only one lane here, and the other lane goes to a whole different spot. So we want to stay in this lane. That's fine though. If you see the turn signal turning on for FSD in a direction that you don't want to go, you can hit that same direction. So like it turned the turn signal on to the right, I hit the right turn signal and it turned it off. So I found that to be effective to kind of tell FSD, hey, don't do that. Don't make that mistake. And it does a good job most of the time of not going after you turn it off. It's gonna be kind of a hard break here. Yeah. Yeah, I have found in scenarios just like this, every once in a while you'll get some hard breaks, which is kind of funny because this should be one of the easier things. Like I would imagine you should be able to judge distance on these vehicles to pretty much never have a really hard break here. That is, unless someone cuts you off. Like I think we accelerated almost too much at this point, and I bet we'll have kind of a hard break. Yeah, you can see, yep, right there, we kind of had a slightly hard break. I would have rathered ease up with the car in front of us here and then ease down with them. So that's, you know, nitpicking a little bit, but I think it could do better in stop and go traffic when the stop is short and the go is, I guess, kind of long. Yep. So it's almost acting as if there isn't traffic ahead of two cars of us. You know, like we have this red car, we have a truck. It's almost acting as like we're opening up and we're about to be on open highway again. And I guess its vision just isn't quite long enough to understand that this is a long string of traffic and we'll be stopping again soon. So I have seen that a few times. That time right there, it did much better just now. If y'all notice that I keep looking up, it's because I got a camera up here. I have a 360 camera, a suction cup to the top of the truck, and I'm just making sure that it's still there. This is the first time I've gone on the interstate with it. I got the cameras to give y'all some better shots around the vehicle, just in case we run into any situations that aren't obvious from inside the cab. So y'all let me know if you can think of any kind of cool perspectives that you'd like to see with that camera in certain angles. It would help me justify it to myself. It wasn't cheap, but I really like having it up there. It's kind of just back up to make sure that we can get good footage. Yeah, this lady that just drove by me in that Jeep Grand Cherokee was definitely not paying attention to the road, sitting right on the cell phone. And it's funny, it really shows the value of FSD being effective on the interstate. When you look around in traffic nowadays, it is shocking how many people are just sitting on their cell phone. And it's kind of scary, really. It is scary. It's super scary. So I really hope that not only does FSD get more popular or more effective and then more popular, but also, you know, I've heard some rumors, I guess, of Tesla potentially licensing it to other companies and whatnot. I think that would really solidify them in the space if they, say, license it to Ford or something like that on their EVs. It would really solidify FSD as kind of the go-to for full self-driving and or at least autonomous driving. And I think it would really save a ton of lives because it's just shocking the amount of people that are just sitting on their cell phone driving. It's extremely dangerous, especially with congestion like this. So yeah, I think this is a worthy mission. So while I was chit-chatting there, you know, FSD did its job. It got over into the left-hand lane here, or at least it merged over to the left. And it's kind of funny, you know, I wasn't really paying a huge amount of attention other than, you know, the vehicle right in front of me, make sure it doesn't hit them. But it really shows you that you can have a conversation with your passenger and FSD will do the majority of the heavy lifting. Just like this, it's letting this guy over nice and smooth. We didn't aggressively brake or anything like that, so it's doing a darn good job. All right, getting off the exit. Looks like she needs to stop. Ah, hit the brakes. Okay, I think she would have done it, but I took over. I mean, I still get nervous. Right at the end there, I realized that FSD would have done just fine, but I did take over. I got scared. Blame me. That was my fault. She was stopping. It was a little close though. Hey, I would have rathered a little bit more stop going on there. So that was a pretty long drive, but we made it. If y'all enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button down below. Please consider subscribing to the channel or following on X, because I've been over there a lot lately and I have really enjoyed it. With that, this is Redbeard Engineered signing off.